Money Ape wakes up on a Tuesday morning, opens his banking app, and sees a number that makes him feel genuinely good about himself. A real, actual number. Savings. His savings. Money he didn't spend on that second pizza or the video game he would have played for 20 minutes and never touched again. And he thinks, okay, today is the day. Today, Money Ape becomes an investor, so he opens YouTube. He watches 3 videos about index funds, then 2 about ETFs, then 1 about crypto, which sends him into a panic spiral, so he watches 4 more videos explaining why crypto is either the future or a digital casino, depending on who's talking. 2 hours later, Money Ape closes every tab, puts his phone down, makes a cup of tea, and does absolutely nothing with his money. Again, the savings just sit there. In the account, earning almost nothing, and Money Ape knows this. He knows the money is basically losing value every year to inflation. He knows people his age are building wealth while he's watching explainer videos about wealth. And yet, nothing, just the tea, just the staring at the wall. If you have ever done this, if you have ever been this close to doing something smart with your money and then just not, then this video is specifically about your brain, why it does this, and what you can actually do about it. Because Money Ape's problem is not laziness. It's not stupidity. It's not even fear exactly. It's something much more specific. Something happening inside his skull that's been happening inside human skulls for about 200,000 years. And once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Okay, so Money Ape loves bananas. You know this. Bananas are his thing. And in Money Ape's world, there are 2 kinds of bananas. There are golden bananas, the small, bright, immediately satisfying kind. You eat one, you feel great, your brain lights up, you want another one. They're everywhere. They're easy. They feel amazing. And then there are the other kind, the ones Money Ape's financially wise uncle keeps talking about. The slow bananas. The ones you plant now and wait 2 years to harvest. And when you finally do, you've got an entire tree producing bananas for the rest of your life. But here's the thing about slow bananas. You can't eat them right now. Right now, they look like nothing. Right now, they look like dirt and a seed and the abstract promise of future fruit. Money Ape's brain, every single time, wants the golden banana. Not because Money Ape is dumb, because Money Ape's brain was built for a world where waiting for fruit meant dying before you got to eat it. His brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is that design is about 50,000 years out of date. Here's where the brain stuff gets interesting. So stay with me, because this genuinely changes everything. Your brain has a system inside it called the Dopamine Reward System. You've probably heard of dopamine, the so-called feel-good chemical. But here's what most people get wrong about it. Dopamine is not actually about pleasure. Dopamine is about anticipation. It's about the prediction of reward. Your brain releases dopamine when it thinks a good thing is coming, when it can see the reward clearly, when the outcome feels close and certain. This is why scrolling social media feels so good. This is why gambling is so addictive. This is why Money Ape can spend 45 minutes deciding which snack to order on a delivery app and feel genuinely excited about it. The reward is visible. It's close. It's certain. Dopamine is flowing. Now take investing. You put your money into something today. You do not get to see the reward for months, years, sometimes decades. The outcome is not certain. Prices go up and down and sideways, and sometimes they fall off a cliff for a while before they go back up. There is no clear, vivid, close reward for your brain to anticipate. So your dopamine system goes quiet. And when your dopamine system goes quiet, your brain interprets the action not as neutral, but as dangerous. Your brain, quite literally, reads investing money the same way it reads jumping off something uncertain. It doesn't say, this is boring, and I'll just ignore it. It says, this feels threatening, let me protect you from it. And this brings us to the really important part. In the 1970s, 2 psychologists named Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky did a series of studies that basically broke economists' brains. They discovered something so simple and so profound that Kahneman eventually won a Nobel Prize for it. Here's what they found. Losing something hurts about twice as much as gaining the same thing feels good. Read that again. The pain of losing $20 is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of finding $20. Your brain is not a balanced calculator. It is catastrophically structurally biased toward avoiding loss. They called this loss aversion, and it is one of the most documented, replicated findings in all of psychology. So when Money Ape looks at the stock market, here's what's actually happening in his brain. He's not thinking, I might gain $500 over a year. His brain, automatically and without his permission, is loudly imagining losing $500. That image, that loss scenario, hits him with a wave of something that feels very close to physical pain. And his brain, trying to protect him, says, the safest thing to do is nothing. Keep the money exactly where it is. At least you know what you have. The savage irony, the part that should make every single one of us laugh a little at ourselves, is that doing nothing is itself a choice with consequences. Inflation is quietly, slowly, politely eating your savings every year. The average inflation rate means that money sitting still loses something like 2 to 3% of its real value every year. Money Ape is not avoiding loss by not investing. He is experiencing a slow, invisible, very boring loss every single day. But because it's invisible, because there's no red number flashing on his screen, his brain doesn't register it as a threat. His brain is protecting him from a tiger while a very slow leak is sinking his boat. Now here's where it gets really human. Because Money Ape is smart. Money Ape knows intellectually that he should invest. He's watched the videos. He understands compound interest at least a little bit. So his brain, being very clever, has developed a set of stories to explain the inaction. These stories feel completely reasonable. They feel like logic. They are not logic. They are fear wearing a logic costume. Story number 1. I need to understand it better first. Money Ape has been saying this for 11 months. At what point does he understand it enough? When he has a finance degree? There is no finish line on understanding. This story is a polite way of staying still forever. Story number 2. The timing is wrong. The market is too high right now. Money Ape has been saying this when the market was high, when the market was low, when the market was in the middle. Professional investors with 20 years of experience and teams of analysts cannot consistently time the market. Money Ape, refreshing an app twice a day is not going to crack the code they couldn't. Story number 3. I'll start when I have more money saved up. The investment amount that feels comfortable to risk never arrives because the threshold rises automatically to meet the current savings balance. Money Ape had 500 saved and thought he'd start at 1,000. He hit 1,000 and thought he'd be more comfortable at 2,000. He'll think of 2,000 differently when he gets there too. Each of these stories is loss aversion speaking in a calm, reasonable voice. Each one is the brain doing its ancient, well-intentioned job of keeping the scary thing at a distance. Money Ape is not lying to himself. He genuinely believes these stories when he's telling them. That's what makes this so tricky and also so universal. Okay, so let's talk about what happens on the other side. Because Money Ape did actually invest once. A tiny amount, almost an embarrassingly small amount, about 18 months ago. And something unexpected happened. For the first week, he checked the account approximately 400 times. Every small dip caused a small internal crisis. Every small gain caused a small internal celebration. His brain was fully activated, extremely online, completely consumed by this tiny investment. This is normal. Your brain treats new financial exposure the same way it treats any new uncertain situation, with hypervigilance. But then something shifted. After about 3 weeks of checking and micro-panicking and micro-celebrating, Money Ape's brain started to recalibrate. The uncertainty became familiar. Familiar things are not threatening. His dopamine system found a new pattern to anticipate the long-term game, the slow growth, the idea of who he was becoming by doing this. And checking the account went from anxious to almost satisfying. Like watering a plant. You know you're not going to see it grow in real time. You do it anyway because you know it's working. Neuroscientists call this the process of new behaviors becoming integrated into your identity. When you invest, even a small amount, your brain starts to update its model of who you are. You are not just someone who watches investing videos. You are someone who invests. And that identity shift changes how you make future decisions. It changes what feels natural. It changes what feels like you. So how does Money Ape actually get himself to do the thing? Not through willpower. Willpower is a terrible strategy against a 200,000-year-old neurological system. You have to work with the brain, not try to muscle past it. Hack number 1. Make the loss feel smaller than it is. Your brain catastrophizes potential loss. So one practical thing that genuinely works is setting an amount you invest that your brain can classify as already spent. If you go out for dinner twice a month, think about what that costs. Can you invest that amount? If your brain would be okay losing it at a restaurant, your loss aversion is less activated when you invest it. You're not investing your savings. You're redirecting entertainment money. Same number, very different emotional weight. Hack number 2. Automate it and make it invisible. The single most effective thing Money Ape ever did for his savings was setting up an automatic transfer that happens the day after payday. The money leaves before he can see it, before his brain can consider spending it, before loss aversion can even get involved. You cannot grieve money you never consciously had. Out of sight genuinely is out of mind, and in this case, that's a feature, not a bug. Hack number 3. Give the dopamine system something to chew on. The brain needs anticipation. So instead of just setting and forgetting, schedule one monthly check-in. Make it a little ritual. Make it slightly enjoyable, good coffee, nice chair, 5 minutes of actually looking at how things are going. Give your brain a regular, low-stakes moment of engagement so it doesn't starve for feedback and start panicking. One check-in a month is enough to stay connected. More than that, for most people, leads to anxiety-driven bad decisions. Hack number 4. Start absurdly small. We're talking embarrassingly, laughably small. The goal of the first investment is not the financial outcome. The goal is to interrupt the pattern of inaction. $20, $50. The number almost doesn't matter. What matters is that you move from being someone who doesn't invest to being someone who does. The identity shift is the real investment. The money is just the ticket to buy it. Here's the thing about Money Ape that we haven't said yet. The thing that's actually kind of beautiful about him. He's not bad with money because he doesn't care about his future. He's stuck because he cares about it so much it frightens him. The fear is proportional to the hope. The paralysis is the direct result of actually wanting things to be different. And that's true for most of us, isn't it? We're not procrastinating on investing because we're lazy or hopeless or checked out. We're procrastinating because somewhere underneath the videos and the stories and the timing excuses is a version of ourselves we're hoping to protect. A future self we're afraid to disappoint. And the way the brain handles that kind of pressure is to freeze, to wait, to gather more information, to stay in the place that feels known. But here's what Money Ape figured out. Slowly, embarrassingly, in the most non-cinematic way possible over the course of a year and a half. The golden bananas don't add up. You eat them and they're wonderful, and then they're gone, and your future self is still standing there with the same empty hands. The slow bananas take time, and they require you to trust a process you can't fully see, and they ask your brain to do something it genuinely finds uncomfortable. But they compound, they grow. They multiply when you're not looking. And eventually, not magically, not overnight, but eventually they become something that no amount of golden bananas stacked on top of each other ever could. Money Ape is not a finance genius. He is not someone who has it all figured out. He still checks his investment account more than is strictly useful and still watches too many YouTube videos about money instead of just doing the thing. But he did start. He interrupted the pattern. He told his loss-averse, dopamine-hungry, ancient caveman brain that this time we are going to do something uncomfortable on purpose, because we have seen where comfortable leads, and you can do the same thing. Not because you've conquered your fear, not because you finally understood enough, but because you've decided that the life your future self deserves is worth feeling a little afraid today. The bananas are waiting. Which ones are you planting?